All right, it's 10 a.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Going through the agenda here, everybody's had a chance to look. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries 4-0. Thank you. We'll restate the agenda items. We'll have public input on non-agenda items, the consent agenda items with items A through E, which are checks and meetings. And then unfinished business, we have none. On new business, we'll do an update on facilities, update on the sale of Station 31, a post-storm update, a new item on the agenda for all of us is going to be the high water vehicle purchase. Then we'll go to the chief's remarks, commissioner remarks, and then we will adjourn. Any comments or changes needed to the agenda as listed?
None.
None.
Awesome. This time, public input on non-agenda items. Soon to be commissioner. Thank you. All right, we'll go to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for approving items listed on the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Again, carries 4-0. Thank you. On to new business, Chief.
Thank you. Before I get started with the new business, I just received a text from Commissioner Lezak. She had a minor emergency and isn't going to be able to make it. Thank you. So, for new business, I just wanted to update you on facilities and kind of where we are with things. So, I'll hit in my closing about the groundbreaking on Friday. But on the 28th, on Monday, that is the rescheduled date for our second reading of our zoning for the new fire station. The first one went through unanimous without any questions. Our consultants were there with us, so they'll be there again on the 28th, and we should have our rezoning taken care of. Also, the plans went into permitting last week, so they're running concurrent with the zoning process. We paid those fees, so they now should be in the process of reviewing the plans for both on our side for fire and the town for building part of it. I was hoping to have for next meeting the GMP or the pricing for the station. It's not going to be ready by November 20th. I may ask if the board will entertain it, possibly an interim meeting in December, early December, whenever we know it's going to be ready, so we can keep the project moving. So that is in the works. Plans are also out for bidding right now to establish that maximum price. On headquarters, with the recent storms that we've had, we're considering possibly elevating the parking lot a little bit. If you look at it, it's lower than all the adjacent properties. It's lower than the road. And the site's made to hold water, but not across the parking lot. So it's in need of some maintenance on the blacktop. So rather than maintaining it, we may look at elevating that before we redo all the drainage and landscaping at headquarters. Some other items, the last of the 3 overhead doors was done at Station 32, so the overhead door project for both Station 32 and 33 are complete. And the elevator is operational at 32 after a couple of years. Still haven't put the finishes in, but it's been inspected by the state and it is in service. And that is all I have for facilities at this time.
Great. Any questions? Discussion? Excuse me. All right, next item is update on the sale of Station 31.
Yes, so last time we met, which was 2 months ago, it seemed like it was going to be a very quick process, sign and cash deal and close. So with, I think you all know that we have the Zimmer family who donated the property for that fire station back in the 50s. And they are involved in the sale of this, so the sale will be a split between us and the surviving family members. That took a while to play out and make sure that the title company had everything straightened out. Our attorneys, working with the buyer's attorneys, got all the language on the contract finalized, and we were able to sign off on it. And I was just talking with the buyer this morning, and the deposit has been put in escrow. So that is a cash sale, so I would expect by the time we come back for the next meeting, it'll be closed and done.
Questions? Concerns?
No, that's good.
And we're allowing the buyer access currently to the property?
Yes, so the buyer asked in part of the contract if they could get into the building. They want to secure the roof, so we keep any more water from going in if need be. So before the meeting today, they were there looking over to see what they need to do. So that'll be at their cost.
All right.
Good.
Moving right along.
Excellent.
Post-storm update, or should we say storms updates?
Yeah.
Storms.
So the first thing I'd like to do is, for anybody watching, I'd like to thank the citizens for evacuating. It made a huge difference in this storm. I think we all, with the recent storms and then Ian in the past, realized the potential. This storm had an eerily similar feel to Ian and the path it was taken and how it kept kind of creeping north. And that evacuation allowed us to get the island open quicker. That and us working with the town collaboratively from the beginning. Not by plan, but the day before the storm and the people's experience on the island after Ian about search and rescue, we started getting messages coming to us about, I want to let you know I've evacuated, and don't take out my front door while you're doing search and rescue. I want to thank Christina and Angela and Jane and Jennifer and everybody who fielded 1,200 emails of people. We put it out over the media and said, yes, please let us know. And we've got over 1,200 people respond saying, we're not there, no, the house is vacant. And it allowed us to put together a list and know when we went back out to run calls where we didn't need to go. And what it did, that and also, if I can, Lee controlled our dispatch system. They took the county's medical director and they put him in there into dispatch during the storm. And when people were calling for medical emergencies, he was working to triage them over the phone and direct them. The ones that could be directed were directed to telemedicine, telehealth. And when we came out of the storm, we had no calls for medical service holding.
Wow.
And
That worked.
in between that and collaborating with the Sheriff's Department and knowing that they had none holding, we were able to clear the search and rescue mission objective and turn the island back over to the town to start the debris removal and the hazard removal. And that is the biggest reason why people were back on the island on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that evacuated, we will change our policy. We're going to work on a new form where people can proactively let us know their status. And that'll be in our messaging pre-storm because it did play a pivotal role. So one of the lessons learned.
Question?
I have a comment on, I recently bought a Knox box, and that saves your windows and doors from getting kicked in. I mean, I think everybody should have one. I mean,
Yeah, I'll build on that. So for anybody watching online who isn't aware, Knox box are the buildings that you see next to the front doors on commercial buildings. Those boxes have in them the keys to the buildings, and it allows us to get access to keys so we don't have to damage buildings to make entry. There is a residential Knox box program, and it's on knoxbox.com. You can go on there and you can buy a residential Knox box. We can put that information into the dispatch 911 notes, so they will tell us when we get dispatched, there's a lockbox next to the door. So if anybody is interested, if you have a family member who has recurring medical conditions and you're calling for 911 services, it's a very good way to work with the emergency services to make entry. Thank you, Joe.
I think it was $210.
It's about $200, yes.
Is that a digital or a key?
It's a key.
It's a key.
I know they've gone to the wireless one.
Yes, we will still have the keys.
Okay.
That's a hybrid system that we're doing, so we have both. So that's switched to entry.
Great.
Also, if I can, while we're still on post-storm, I do want to highlight, so before hurricane season, the fire district, along with the sheriff's department in the town, we all sat down and went through our plans. We collaborated on lessons learned from Ian and what it would look like. And I will say that collaboration from the beginning and through the storm worked out very well from our perspective, from the town's perspective. We weren't trying to be on top of us, but they were ready with their debris removal resources as soon as we were able to give them to go. So thank you to the town and the partnerships that we had for this event. And then finally, to my team internally, at the time, I didn't really realize it, but you know, as things were winding down and I kind of look back, what I saw is a group of men and women who, you know, my leaders stepped up and they led. My firefighters worked and did whatever they were directed to do. They met all the objectives. It was organized. I was proud of everybody and the way everybody handled themselves and the way everybody performed. So my entire team, I want to take this chance to say thank you.
I think one of the most impressionable comments that I heard as our crews had to evacuate was the frustration with our frontline folks who want to be there to help and to be stuck somewhere in waiting, not knowing what's going to happen, who's going to need us. It's like, I wouldn't say a caged animal, but it's a loaded weapon that's looking for a target, and it was encouraging to see that instead of the opposite attitude, which, having been prior military and law enforcement, occasionally you run across where people aren't anxious to get out there and help. That's not what I observed with our folks, and I would totally agree with the chief's comments. It was impressive, the commitment, the dedication, the hours. It was well run. Our temporary headquarters was functional, and everybody seemed to mesh and know where to go and what was needed. It worked well.
I'd like to say that this time, it's comparing it to Ian, people felt safe. They felt like they knew what they were supposed to do. I'm talking the residents, and that's because of what the fire department and the town did to prepare us, and also to take care of the situation afterwards. But just, you know, after Ian, it was such an eerie feeling, and this time did not feel that way. Of course, we got less water, but you know, it just, everybody listened, they evacuated, and they came back almost overnight, and that was unbelievable, the coordination between all those groups, and we just felt safe, and so that's amazing. I want to thank everybody that was a part of that. So.
I would certainly echo that, Commissioner Beck. It was an entirely different feeling than we had after Ian. It was, and to watch the operation there at the hotel where we were stationed, the temporary headquarters facility, the firefighters coming and going. You could tell they were up for the game, so to speak, and anxious to get out in the field and help people. And I was just very proud to be a part of it, frankly, and impressed with how well it ran. So.
I concur with everything that you've all said. You know, firefighters train, but they want to do it. You know, you can only train so much. So it was a good job by everybody. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And that's, again, reflective of leadership and planning and everything that's carried forward every year when we do this. And I was glad we were able to accommodate some of the town staff and the Coast Guard with our folks when they were in need of a place. Again, job well done. Was impressive. Chief, any, I'd say, what would be the major lesson learned from this go around versus others, or have we got to that point yet?
Well, there's a few things. So the next item on the agenda is a high water vehicle. So, but that's come from the series of storms we've had since Ian. Again, the communication with the community, not really thinking that knocking down their front door was the motivator, but, next time around, we will explain what search and rescue looks like. And I believe sharing that information will cause people to understand why we need to hear from them. So my hope is that we have this kind of interaction next time, but we have it automated, so it doesn't take, manual work of a couple of people in a short period of time. We got lucky on this storm. Fort Myers Beach was the least damaged island of all the Lee County islands. The further north you went, obviously, the worse it got. So it was a little easier to be prepared for. But I think working even closer with the town and making sure that, we keep fostering that relationship and with the Sheriff's Department is key. Countywide, we have in the fire departments, because there are 20 fire departments in Lee County, we manage large-scale events like this by creating what we call geodivisions. And those geodivisions are something that we've been discussing, not only the way we're grouped by departments into geodivisions. We're looking at changing that because of the, for example, we share a geodivision with Iona McGregor, which is fine, but we have more in common with Sanibel and Captiva. Sanibel and Captiva and myself, we had a line of communication open, and we were collaborating on wind speeds and when we were evacuating and whatnot. So there was collaboration with the islands. So geodivisions is something that's on the table. In my experience, when I worked for a municipality, when we went into this mode, we kind of did geodivisions, but basically a fire station became its own little island if we lost communications. And within the fire station, we would put police officers and public works with bulldozers so they could clear roads ahead of us so we could do our surveys. So I'd like to see the geodivisions evolve. Right now, the Sheriff's Department still takes all their troops to one place. And if we could expand on the geodivision concept, we potentially could take the ambulances, we could take the police officers, we could take public works resources and have them together, knowing we're all working a location. So that's a bigger project, but in the works, kind of one.
Great. Sounds like the direction that needs to happen. Look forward to the developments with that. I would like to make a comment on people's fear of search and rescue. And I was, a few days after Ian, I was on the ground with some of our folks observing some of the USAR activities. The thing that impressed me most was the way those folks took care of our citizens, our residents, our homes. They really did treat it as if it were theirs or close relatives. There was no blatant door kicking or window breaking or anything like that. They were very precise with how they made entry to make sure that nobody was in need of assistance in each dwelling. It was around maybe 3 hours when some of those teams were working. So it's not a forced entry to every building and residence. They want to make sure that everybody's okay. It's again, like Ron said, it's something they train for. So it's not abusive, but having that digital documented capability for, is that place occupied, unoccupied, did they evacuate or not, it's going to be a great help in the future. Hopefully we won't need it, but it'd be nice to have that resource available. Thanks, sir. Anybody else?
Well, another matter that, it's kind of happened by accident, but the town management teams and counselors ended up in the same location as we had already pre-planned. And I thought that worked out very well, having that proximity of communication with each other as this was unfolding, and you could talk about issues that were evolving right on the spot, really, about electric, about access, about various issues. And I don't know if that was, I think it was by accident this time, but it would certainly, in my opinion, be advantageous to sort of plan for that kind of situation in the future.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we will try and enhance because it did work out. It was good to have the town manager and his staff with us in our war room, if you'll call it that.
Right. Now, it's a big room. It could have accommodated both
Yes.
both groups,
Yeah.
really, in that room.
so, we'll look at building on that in the future as we continue to try and secure the hotel. So hotels, if you don't have it secured ahead of time, it's hard to come by.
Right.
So,
Anybody else? Great, thanks, Chief, appreciate all the information and updates. Next item on new business is high water vehicle purchase.
So high water vehicles, you've heard us talk about this through Adalia and Debbie and Eileen and Milton. And we've reached out and utilized mutual aid resources that exist around the county and the region. With Eileen, we were working with forestry for a people mover, a swamp buggy. And because of the nature of that storm as it kept moving, that local resource was deployed further north. We have had mutual aid resources come. Unfortunately, a lot of the high water vehicles are first brush trucks and then secondary people movers, which means if somebody's on a backboard or they can't stand on their own, you might not have a way to transport them. So for this storm, we replaced the John boat that got destroyed in Ian. We had some pickup trucks. But what we also had, talking about collaboration, is 4 of our members on the county, on the regional urban search and rescue team, they were pre-deployed with the urban search and rescue team. So rather than being in our hotel with us and tending only to the island, they were pre-deployed, and they had 2 teams, one in Bonita and one right here in Iona McGregor, ready to descend on the island if we did have a search and rescue mission, if we had taken that direct hit. So I say all of that because what I think we've learned from these storms and the high water situations we've had is that we need a vehicle that will accommodate. The mutual aid does the best they can, but we're seeing it enough that we believe it's a resource we need. So that high water agenda, that is item on the agenda, is to source a vehicle. And most of these high water vehicles, what we find is a vehicle that'll go fast enough that it can be used for deployment and be able to handle high water and be a people mover first for us, and then have some capability to fight fires, smaller fires, is the type of resource that we would probably need for our community. So on the screen is an example of what a high water vehicle would look like. And these are basically repurposed military vehicles. They're called LMTVs. This is a light military transport vehicle. And that has seating inside on both sides, and these vehicles will do right around 4 feet of water. They're able to run. So the exhaust, the air intake, everything is up high. And what these companies do is they take these military surplus vehicles, they take out the military components, put in commercial components, and go through the whole truck. So what I'm asking for today is just your permission to source the vehicle and bring it back to you, bring back 3 bids and make a recommendation.
Are we getting 1 or 2?
At this point, I would say we would get 1. We still will have access to other resources, but this will allow us to maintain our operations through a storm like Helene, where we had a lot of standing water. We were able to stay on the island for Helene. We knew we weren't getting enough of a surge and enough winds that we were going to have to evacuate. So this type of truck is, but we needed a high water vehicle during Adalia, Debbie, and Helene. We evacuated during Milton. And we had those 3 storms in between. We've had some no-name storms that caused flooding, that caused us to take out patients by walking into neighborhoods where it was too deep to take our vehicles.
So basically, this would go off island during the mandatory evacuation.
It would, yes, it would go
But-
with us. If we're not here to respond, the vehicle goes with us. We learned that lesson during Ian.
Yeah.
But it would be, as we come back, we'd immediately have it for deployment.
Chief, can you highlight some of the potential savings a vehicle like this would provide for the district?
Savings
As far
goes?
as impact to other equipment?
Sure. So one of the things, so during Helene, we had a structure fire. We had some other calls that were priority calls for service, and we attempted to get to the folks. That's what we do. The vehicles are all having to go that were in those high waters are having to go through extensive repairs and restorations. I have our oldest engine, we're looking at about 30 grand in repairs so far. So we have a policy about trying to keep it at the middle of the hubs. But when life is on the line, they try to do everything they can. So this would be, a first out vehicle in our flooded environments, and it would be, that's its job. That's what it's dedicated to doing. And it would allow us to give resources to people. So, we would better be able to adhere to those limits on the other vehicles and not try and push them past their limits.
So the concept would be, this would go into the high water area, transport out to a higher ground or dry area.
Correct. If it's a patient, we can bring patients out if people are trapped in their houses because there's 3 or 4 feet of water. We can go get them and bring them out.
You wouldn't transport to the hospital in this, though?
No,
You would
not, no.
switch.
We basically bring them out to an area where
Right.
we can transfer to a regular unit.
Right, makes sense.
This would be able to carry a boat into an environment, if we needed to move somebody
Oh, yeah,
from
that's
house
true.
to truck. Vehicle like this, some of these vehicles, if they're built for people movers, you can build them with a lift so they can, accommodate a wheelchair. Because that's usually the people that can't get out of their houses
Right.
normally, or people that need assistance.
Do you see that also as a potential response vehicle for sand operations, say on the beach?
Yes, it could be, and one of the things I'd like to do is, so before the meeting started, you heard we had a room of contents fire. I'd like to put a little bit of water on this truck, and it would be able to be a first response to different types of fires. If there's a bonfire on the beach, a smaller grass fire, it would have some immediate capabilities that we wouldn't have to call for a brush truck from out of the area for.
Sounds great.
It'll look great in parades.
Well,
Hopefully we
It's a
never use
tertiary need.
Will your name go on the side of it?
No, it won't.
you were mentioning the high cost of repairing our equipment that did have to go into water. For folks at home, if they don't realize, it's a totally different animal going into fresh water, going into salt water. Once your equipment has gone into salt water, it's trashed. It has to be significantly repaired, replaced, cleaned. It's just destroyed. So it's important, I think, for us to have equipment like this that is designed and can handle that kind of an environment, since that's the environment we live in now. So, if you could buy one, get one free here on this deal, it wouldn't hurt to have one of these at either end of the
Yeah.
island, frankly.
I'll do my
I'd like to have one. My garage.
They're pretty amazing vehicles. I've had
Yes.
a chance for the last couple of days. I've watched some walk-arounds and looked at features. The things that, obviously they were built for military operations, but you can actually air down the tires from the cab, so you can tackle different terrains and environments and spread your tread pattern out on the wheels. I forget how large the tires are. It's like 42 or 47, something like that. They're large vehicles.
Yeah.
But again, I think given our recent experience over the last 2 years,
Yes.
it's a necessary item to be one more tool in the box for our folks to get to our residents and help
Right.
in their time of need. It's an important thing. Any other comments, questions? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the fire chief to source a high water vehicle and to enter into a contract for purchase contingent on the board's review and approval.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Discussion. Public input. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Thanks, Chief. I appreciate the hard work on that.
Yeah.
With that, we move on to Fire Chief's remarks.
So I already mentioned it, but I want to go back and talk about our USAR members. Those 4 gentlemen who were assigned the USAR team, they were staged and basically deployed by the state to cover Lee County. But once the islands and the areas of Lee County gave an all clear that they didn't need their services, they immediately deployed further north. So they worked in Hillsborough County and Tampa area, they worked in the Sarasota area, they were down in Charlotte County for the next week doing search and rescue missions and swiftwater missions. So I want to thank those guys for their dedication and congratulate them on a job well done. I'd like to remind everybody that on Friday we have our groundbreaking. Looking forward to that. And that's going to be on our property, 2545 Estero Boulevard. It's on our website if anybody needs information, but looking forward to moving forward with the fire station and hopefully get construction going before the first of the year.
What time is that, Jim?
It's at 10 o'clock on Friday morning.
10 o'clock Friday.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Everybody is invited, correct?
Everybody is invited.
The community, whoever would like to
Wide
show up,
open.
come on over.
Come celebrate with us. So I say celebration. Also, we were planning on the next day, on Saturday, to have a celebration in honor of our 75th anniversary as a fire district. We chose to postpone that based on the fact that everybody on the island is in cleanup mode and recovery mode. So we will look for a date a little later in the year, maybe even early part of next year, to commemorate the fire district. And then I'd like to recognize some anniversaries. So for September, firefighter Romeo Carano and firefighter Miguel Rodriguez have 2 years of service. Angela Vallarta has 4 years of experience. I passed my 7-year mark, and firefighter Eric Cook has 23 years of experience. In October, Lieutenant Brad Hartman, Engineer Billy Galuski, and Engineer William Edge all passed their completed 16 years of service. Tomorrow, Captain Joe DeVito will have completed his 18th year of service.
Great.
And on Saturday, Battalion Chief Tom Groh will have 32 years of service.
Wow.
Good.
Congratulate all those folks and thank them for their service.
Yes. Tremendous amount of experience we have.
Yeah.
It's very good.
If you remember years ago, we were struggling with experience, and we're starting to get some tenure under our guys, and we're seeing our firefighters develop themselves not only as drivers, but we're putting a new program in place where they're able to develop and fill in for company officer when we have those vacancies.
Great.
Great.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner remarks. Commissioner Flynn, would you like to start?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Chief Kraus and Jane for helping me jump a dead van at the hotel. My other car left by tow truck. But yesterday, well, I want to thank everyone for the work you've done during the storm. You know, it's amazing. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of running into Adam. And we talked, and he said some things that I just let go. He wanted to know about the study, when we're going to have it done. And I said, well, I'll give you a governmental answer soon. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Jim?
Well, we already talked a lot about it, but I want to thank the chief for your incredible leadership to get us through this last storm. When you watch it all unfold before you, the process of managing the response to a storm like that, looking out for our citizens, it is impressive. And it, as Commissioner Wood said, it made me feel comfortable and safe, not only for me and my family, but for everyone that lives on that island and has to handle things. So I thank you all very much, and I want to thank Jane and the staff. They were in that room, it seemed like, from dusk to dawn for 3 days or so, or 4 days, and it's quite a dedication to be there for everyone. And I just want to say thank you very much. Appreciated everything that you all did.
Mr. Wood?
Well, I think going along with what you just said, I think the chief exudes a lot of leadership and instills confidence in the staff, and the staff then responds by doing whatever is necessary. I didn't see anyone saying, well, that's not my job. I hear that often in the field with non-firefighting groups, but I think any one of the firefighters would have said, hey, what do you need, needs to be done, chief? And they would go out and do it. And they were very anxious to get out after the storm and get going with that. As you said, caged tigers. They were ready to go, and so was the rest of the staff. That's just, again, that exudes that confidence in what we're doing. We're doing the right thing. Purchase of a high water vehicle, looking at the problems that we're facing, and we're going to continue to face them. And I know that this group will continue to meet all those challenges. So I want to thank all of you. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Mayor, what everybody else has said, thanks to the chief for his leadership, Jane, Christina, Angela, the rest of the staff, that Chief Krause, that again seemed to be always in that room anytime I stopped by. All if not, half were there at any given hour of the day, and taking care of business. And the thing that our folks at home who may be watching don't realize is these people are away from their homes, from their families, taking care of the district and our citizens. And it's a big commitment, and they do it full throttle. I mean, it really is. It gives me a lot of pride to see it and watch it, and to see our folks do it with a smile on their face, not begrudgingly, or it's a dedication that's hard to find in a lot of businesses, but in this industry, it's prevalent, which is good to see. My neighbor, we didn't really talk about it. My neighbor unfortunately lost a home to fire the Saturday after the storm in a barbecue accident, I guess would be the best way to put it, with the breeze and with his other things that he had on site. Our folks did their best to get there and save what was savable. But it's amazing, I look at his house every day, and to think that nobody was hurt, none of our folks, he was out safely. Again, structures can be replaced, but it's a reminder on how quick this can happen. And that could happen to anybody. It's the reason for our existence. So it's that thing we strive to excel at as an organization, and we keep pushing forward. So, again, just makes me proud. If there's nothing else?
I have one other item.
Yes, sir.
Before the storm, after vandals threw Chester the artist stuff in the canal, I was able to secure it to a tree. Well, after Milton, all the locks had to be removed, and thieves weren't going to steal it, but Milton tried. I contacted Chief Armiger. I told him what I needed. They were there in a couple hours, and they had to use hydraulic tools to cut the locks. So Chester's back in business.
Good. It's a part of our community that's kind of a constant. It's good.
Well, I told him about Friday. I said, there's bound to be some kids there, but I don't know if he's going to come.
All right. Anything else?
No.
With that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.